What's going on, guys? My name is Patsy, and this is a video which is kind of overdue. I was meant to make this several months ago, but with things are not improving and we're halfway through the transfer window, it's about a matter of time I actually eventually make this video, because this isn't a joke anymore. Us as fans probably know exactly what I am talking about, but if you're a rival fan, you may not know exactly what happens behind the scenes. But obviously we all know, every single football fan knows the results which happens on the pitch, and that leads to the problems behind the scenes at the football club. It's difficult where to start on this, it really is, because it all happened 7 years ago, and that's when the downfall happened. Sir Alex Ferguson announced he was going to retire at the end of the season in 2013, which was fair enough. You know, we all expected that the day will come soon, because he was literally 70 years old. And then within 5 minutes of each other, after Sir Alex Ferguson announced he was retiring, David Gill, our chief executive, announced he was stepping down. So that is two big figures of the football club who were going to leave at the end of the season. And then, funny enough, that was the last time we actually won the league. And then Ed Woodward was appointed as David Gill's successor as the chief executive. Ed Woodward was always part of the club. He worked in the London offices. He was always in charge of the commercial side of the club, which he's very good at. But the biggest problem is that he was put in charge of the football side of things when he was appointed chief executive, and this guy knows nothing about football, whatsoever. He's a businessman. He's an expert at the commercial side of things, and that's exactly why Manchester United are still are the most valuable football club in the world, and that pleases the Glazer family enormously. Because ever since the Glazers come into this club, they just suck money out of the club. But that's a completely different story. It is related, but it's a different story, because that happened when Ferguson and David Gill was here anyway. But, you know, the Glazers don't help at all, because Man United make their money through the commercial side of the game. Because, you know, they got the most fans in the world. They make more money than any other sports club in the world. I read that recently. Even richer than the Dallas Cowboys, the NFL teams, richer than any basketball team in America. You know, Man United are literally right up there in the money side of things in the game. But when you put someone who's in charge of the football side of things, who knows nothing about the game, then you're going to have real problems. And that has literally proven within the last 7 years. Okay, so I'll talk about recent years. I'm talking about the recruitment side of things. It's just been absolutely appalling. From top to bottom. I'm talking about the players, I'm talking about maybe not the managers, but obviously the managers need to be backed from the people above them. But the biggest problem at Man United is Ed Woodward needs to appoint a director of football, a technical director, a sporting director, people below him who can literally run the football side of things. And that's the biggest problem. Man United haven't got that. For some reason, I have no idea. Maybe the reason why we don't have a sporting director, a technical director, a football director, is because back in the day when David Gill was the chief executive, he never had that. Do you know why he never had that? Because David Gill actually knew what he was doing, and he had Sir Alex Ferguson, probably the greatest manager in the history of any sport, alongside him. So if they were able to run the football side of things, no problem. But those days are over. You know, those two figures have left the club. Well, actually, no, they're still part of the club, but they're like directors, whatever they're doing, but they don't run the football side of things anymore. Since he's not appointed any directors of football things, whatever you want to fucking call it, decisions that have been made in this club have just been appalling. The wrong decisions have been made, the wrong players have come in, wrong players have gone out, and not bringing players that the manager actually wants. Because if you look at Liverpool, Manchester City, and all the other teams in the Premier League who are literally the best at the moment, they've got football director, they've got a sporting director, they've got technical director. You know, Man City have got three. They got three football directors, by the way, at that club. one who's in charge of recruitment side of things, one who makes the decisions. They've got a structure. There is no structure at Manchester United, and if you're talking like, I'll tell you what, if you're a manager and you have people above you who you can get in touch of, to help make the decisions that you want, they can help. But with Ed Woodward, it's literally impossible to do that. Like, for example, Manchester City, a season and a half ago, was it season? Wait, no, it wasn't. It was actually 2 seasons ago. Sorry, 2 seasons ago, Pep Guardiola wanted 3 fullbacks, and what did Man City do? They went on and backed him. So, okay, fair enough. Then we talk about Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp wanted the goalkeeper. And what did Liverpool do? They gone and got him a goalkeeper. They backed him. And then Manchester United, Jose Mourinho, literally the start of last season, we're talking, what season was this? 18-19, he wanted a centre-half. But guess what? They pulled out on him. Why? Why have they done that? I reckon the reason why they did that is because maybe his defenders were too experienced. Maybe they were too old. Maybe they were too expensive because they were ready built and they weren't young. But the thing is, if you're rejecting Mourinho for those centre-halves who were ready built, why on earth, literally 6 months before, why on earth did you back him with a new 2-year contract if you do not agree with his signings? Because Jose Mourinho, guess what? Mourinho was one of the, he's one of the very best in the world. He's not a mug, by the way. He's literally one of the greatest managers in the history of the game. One of the very best in the last 20 years, who has failed at Manchester United. The board didn't want to back his signings. And if you're a manager and the club don't back your signings, you're literally finished. You're finished. And this is what breaks me the most. Remember I was talking about Ed Woodward not knowing the football side of things? And this is a perfect example. They gave Mourinho a new contract halfway through the 17 and 18 season. And then Mourinho wanted to bring in ready established players, and they pulled out on him. So why do you give him a new contract in the first place? If you've not seen Mourinho teams, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Chelsea's in his second spell, he always wanted to buy ready-built players because Mourinho is a manager of today. He's not a manager of tomorrow, next week. He's a manager of today. He's a win-today manager. So if he wants ready-built players, you have to give him ready-built players. But I guarantee you Ed Woodward didn't even know that. I guarantee he had no idea Mourinho always wants to buy ready-built players. So there you go. So it just shows that how utterly naive the club is. It's unbelievable. And then who gets the sack at the end of the day? It's the manager. And apparently this whole mess is always the manager's fault. Like, David Moyes got sacked, it was the manager's fault. Louis van Gaal got sacked, it was the manager's fault. Louis van Gaal was also one of the greatest in the last 30 years. He's one of the all-time greats as well, who also failed at Manchester United. With Van Gaal, he succeeded everywhere he's been. Literally, Bayern Munich, he's won the league. Ajax, he won the Champions League. Barcelona, he's won the league, but has failed at Manchester United. Mourinho has won 4 European Cups, 8 league titles, 25 trophies in 14 seasons. He's won the league everywhere he's been, but has failed to do that at Manchester United. And that just shows that there are bigger problems at this football club. It's not just the manager's fault. Fucking hell, at least I got that finally out of my chest. I've been waiting to say that for ages. So obviously now that Mourinho's gone, well, this happened ages ago. Back in December he got the boot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in, and to be fair, he's done a very good job. But then towards the end of the season, you're beginning to realise that the board are to blame for all this, because the players who have come in the last 7 years are just not good enough. Obviously Solskjaer went on that amazing run, but if you watch Manchester United week in, week out, you realise that this team has no consistency because they're just not good enough anyway. So they cannot perform at the highest level like week in, week out. And when Solskjaer got the job, the players were in poor form before he got the job anyway, the full-time job. So you can't really blame as soon as he got the job, it all went downhill. Trust me, as a Manchester United fan, I watched every single game. The team were underperforming in his last few spells as interim manager. We just got knocked out the FA Cup to Wolves. We end up losing to Wolves in the Premier League, and then he gets the job. But fuck me. I mean, this season the board have got to get it right. They've already said that they're not going to change the transfer policy. It's going to be exactly the same in the last 7 years, which is great, like brilliant. That's exactly what we wanted. But they are trying to appoint a director of football. But what annoys me is, why has it taken 7 years to realise that we need a director of football to make the footballing decisions? Like, if they've done that 4 years ago, then we would be in a completely different situation, and hopefully better. But in this structure, we're not going anywhere, and if he continues to be in charge of football side of things, then we are absolutely doomed. So fingers crossed that we can get the recruitment right this summer, get the deadwood out, that, you know, the problems that they fucking got us into, and hopefully get the decisions right. So that's the end of it. Also, one thing I've got to say is, like, people always talk about Mourinho's style's boring, Van Gaal's style's boring. Trust me, that is a completely different side to what I was talking about. Trust me, completely different. Okay, before anyone says that. If you got any questions, just put it down in the comment section below. But I'm pretty sure I mentioned everything I wanted to say. I don't think I've missed anything out. So yeah, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you in a new season. Cheers, bye.